Hi, okay, so I'll just say that again. It was the definition of delusion in the DSM-5 manual, which is the psychology manual under the heading schizophrenia spectrum and other psychotic disorders. It says delusions are fixed beliefs that are not amenable to change in light of conflicting evidence. Delusions are deemed bizarre if they are clearly implausible and not understandable to same culture peers, and do not derive from ordinary life experiences. Okay, so um, this definition suggests that people who can't change their beliefs when they are presented with adequate information to the contrary are delusional. Now, it's important to point out that when we are alleging that we are victims of organised stalking, nobody is bringing out any evidence that is contrary to our case to prove that we are not making sense, that we are saying things that are not true. There has been no evidence or anything brought forward by anyone ever to show that organised stalking is not true or taking place. You can't paper over the persecution of Falun Gong with one pressurized journalist who's written one measly article. That's not bringing evidence to say that this isn't taking place. That's absolutely ridiculous, you know. So, on the contrary, history shows that organized stalking does take place because it has taken place. Of course, it is part of our ordinary life experiences. To suggest that criminal activity is taking place is not an implausible claim. How could it be? We have police service and international security agencies to stop criminal activity. What we are doing is we are bringing clear evidence to people who are denying this, and they are refusing to change their opinions in the face of clear evidence, in the face of the proven evidence of Zesetstang and MK Ultra. It just is impossible to suggest that people who are alleging this crime are delusional. So when um, you know it is really important for people to take into account the mental state, not of the people who are saying they are victims, but the mental states of the people who are doing this. There are so many aggressive and violent people who commit degenerate acts, as well as corrupt abuses of official power. Far from this being a suspicion, we have numerous convictions and scandals proving this to be the case. So, in terms of the psychiatric assessments that have been taking place, um, again, none of these psychiatrists have conducted any investigation into the criminal allegations. Of course, that they couldn't have done so because the police have never conducted any investigation into these criminal allegations. So, on what basis, what logical basis, could a psychiatrist be saying that they are presenting clear, contradictory information that proves the person's delusion is not true? None. Okay, so now I'm going to read out a few of the examples from history, factual, what's already happened, where people who have been abused and victims have been deliberately labelled as having a mental illness in the past. In the 1970s, for example, the wife of a US Attorney General was diagnosed with a paranoid mental disorder for claiming that the Nixon administration had been engaged in illegal activities. Many of her claims were later proved as correct, and the term Martha Mitchell effect was coined to describe mental health diagnoses or mental health misdiagnoses when accurate claims are being deliberately dismissed as delusional. The false diagnosis of people was a routine technique of the Soviet era, and they said that all political dissidents had a mental illness. I've also mentioned that China and the Communist Party have said that people who practice Falun Gong are mentally ill. And also people who complain about injustices committed by their local authorities. They have also been labelled as mentally ill. There were some former National Security Agency's NSA employees who went to the media in 2006, and they were labelled delusional or paranoid. I have not investigated this story myself enough, but yes, I mean, I am aware. I'm aware of some who are definitely true. It's just that I happen to know. Well, I would happen to know, but I firmly suspect. Sorry, because I know that I do happen to know that one of the people, it's very clear that she's definitely genuine. But you know, I'm because I'm a little bit more distant from those agencies. I'm more cautious that some people who are claiming to be whistleblowers aren't actually genuine whistleblowers. But that's not to say that, you know, some genuine people are, because there are some definitely 100% genuine people who genuinely have been whistleblowing and they generally have been targeted. So yeah, because I don't want to put a ton on anyone's genuine case either. We didn't do that, right? So yeah. There's also evidence of money laundering, and somebody at a bank in Germany, and they were dismissed as delusional when the accuser of somebody who whistleblew was diagnosed. You know, yeah, that's also happened, I think, in the person with NSA's case as well. That they decided to whistleblow, and then they were immediately labelled as psychotic and delusional. And it also happened in the NHS. I found on the line somebody called Kate. She had reported failings in the Care Quality Commission, and they basically suggested that she had a mental illness. You know, I'm also going to remember, you know, because look, if you're going to do something extreme as this to somebody, you're going to need to have prepared an alternative explanation when, you know, people start turning around and asking questions. And this is what they have done with the mental health label, so they can simply just, you know, factory line the cases that should be going investigated through the police through the mental health label. They have set up this bin, or the mental health bin, where they can throw people, you know, into the abyss, and all they do is release, you know, pressurize a journalist once every couple of years, and that seems to be enough to outweigh the persecution of Falun Gong. So it just doesn't make sense, and it's got to make sense from now on, you see. Okay. Yeah, another point to really point out is that, because it's not very nice being being attacked and then said that you've got a mental illness, and a lot of people have found that out the hard way. So another point it's really important to know when discussing this mental health diagnosis is the delusional hearing voices syndrome, because, you know, it's very easy to get caught up that when you don't know about the technology that exists and we have patents for, the microwave audio hearing technology was patented in the 1950s, which we knew, because it's not that it doesn't exist, it's that you don't know about it. These people don't know about it, and therefore they think it doesn't exist, you see. But all you've got to do is you've got to find the information that the patent for the technology exists, and all that assumption, all that illusion, all that fantasy just disappears, isn't it? Because, you know, we've got the patents going back over 70 years ago. But if you don't know that microwave audio technology exists, you're not going to be able to understand the hearing voices phenomenon properly. So when a target or a victim has suggested that they're, you know, hearing things that, you know, being spoken, if you don't know about that technology, the microwave audio hearing technology, you're going to think there must be no other explanation. There must be a mental illness. And this is what we're saying, that no, you've got to know about all the facts. You've got to take into the wider facts into account. Otherwise, you're not going to be able to accurately distinguish between a false hearing voices claim and a real hearing voices claim. You're going to bundle them all together, which is inaccurate. And it's missing the point. And if a psychologist should be aware of criminal psychology. They must have done a module at some point in their studies. So even if they're not, you know, specialised in that field, they've got to know that criminal psychology exists. And that's the kind of thing that a criminal or deviant would do. They would try to hide their crime with any lie that whatever works to hide their crime. And if they have to mimic a mental illness by using technology that nobody's heard about, and you don't know about it, and you're falling for their hook, line, and sinker, you will fall for their lie, hook, line, and sinker. Because they're going to get away with it, and the victim has to spend all their life getting that evidence together, and that's why, and spending all their time and dedicating their lives to digging themselves out of this hole. But, and one of the holes that we've had to dig ourselves out is the false mental health label. So, yeah. Okay, my final point. So I'll just quickly see how much time I've got left on this. It's been, okay, so I'll just quickly end it on this video. Oh. 1 second. I've got it, because they've broken all my laptops. I'm having to use mobile phones. I don't even have a video editor at the moment, so I've just got to, sorry, this happened, the last one, hold on. I'm just going to make some final points. Give me 1 second, sorry, because I can't even stop this because it's so difficult. Oh no, it is him. Excellent. Good. This is an Android. Right, so my final points, because it stays at the same page you were at. Hold on, please. Should I just... Oh God. Okay, right. I'll just do another video.